Hello, my fifth graders. It's an exciting day here today because guess what? I have new markers. Woo! It's the little things, you guys. Okay. Anyway, today we are doing 6.9. I know I have new markers and I start with black. But you got to. 6.9 is patterns. Ooh, they make a squeaky noise. Patterns with, you guessed it, fractions. So this is actually our second lesson with patterns. Previously, we have done patterns with decimals, patterns with whole numbers. So we're going to be using those same strategies and applying it to this, because one of the hardest things is figuring out what is the pattern. So let's start by writing down the steps. Step 1. Take two terms that are next to each other and subtract. That is the first step. Step 1 is just to take two terms. Those are really squeaky. I don't know if you can hear how squeaky these are. You're going to take two terms that are next to each other and subtract. They can be two terms over here. They can be two terms in the middle. They can be the first two terms. It does not matter. Take them and subtract them. Put the bigger number on top. Doesn't matter if the bigger number was the first number or the second number. Put the bigger number on top and subtract. That's step 1. Step 2. Is the pattern increasing? If it's increasing, then it's an adding pattern, or decreasing. If it's decreasing, then it's a subtracting pattern. And then that's it. That's the rule. That is the rule. I really like these, but those are super squeaky. Okay, so let me give you an example. Those are the steps. Step 1, take two terms that are next to each other, subtract them. That's the difference between the two terms. Step 2 is the pattern increasing or decreasing. And then put the two together, and that's the rule. So let's start with the pattern. The first term is 3.5, comma, 4, 5, 6, comma, 6 and 1/6, comma, 7.5, comma, blank. And the question is, number 1, what is the rule? What's the pattern? Describe the pattern in the sequence of numbers. And then fill in the blanks. So apply the pattern. You can choose any two terms, any of them. You might particularly like the ones where it's got a common denominator, but here's the thing. And here's why I would not choose the two with a common denominator. I know I'm going to subtract them. And the bigger number, the 6 and 1/6, is going to go on top. So can I take 5 from a 1? No. So that to me kind of means I don't want to choose that one. So I'm going to choose these two terms, 3.5 and 4 5/6. And I'm going to subtract them. The bigger number goes on top. 4 5/6 minus 3.5. Whenever subtracting fractions, I have to make a common denominator. With 6 and 2, the least common denominator is 6. 2 times 3 is 6. 1 times 3 is 3. Done. Now I subtract the numerators. 5 minus 3 is 2 sixths. 4 minus 3 is 1. So when I subtract two terms that are next to each other, I get 1 and 2 sixths. Step 1, I got 1 and 2 sixths. Step 2, are my numbers getting bigger or smaller? My numbers are getting bigger. So the rule in this problem is they're increasing. So the rule is add 1 and 2 sixths. They might want you to do 1 and 1/3, which is just 2 sixths reduced. Okay, that's the rule. That's the first thing. The second thing is continue the rule. Okay. So I have to take 7.5 and add 1 and 2 sixths. I do leave it as 2 sixths because I'd have to make both of them 6 anyway. So it kind of saves me a step. So a half is 3 sixths. So 3, 4, 5 sixths. 7 plus 1 is 8. This first term is 8 and 5 sixths. So now I take 8 and 5 sixths and I add 1 and 2 sixths. 5, 6, 7, because my denominators already match. 7 sixths is 1 and 1 sixth. Now I add my whole numbers, 8, 9, 10. So I get 10 and 1 sixth. Step 1, figure out what the rule is. What's the difference between two of the terms? Choose your terms wisely. These two terms, although they have a common denominator, I would have had to borrow, and ew. These two terms would have been fine. Okay, so choose the terms wisely, and then is it increasing or decreasing? And then typically they have you apply the rule. So here's the rule. Let's do another. And of course, I ran out of paper. See, this is the problem with those new pens. They bleed through. Sorry. All right. So on this problem, here's what they have showing us. They have 1 and 3/4, then 1 and 9/16, then 1 and 3/8, then 1 and 3/16, then blank, 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 7/16, comma, 1/4. So there's our very long pattern. Step 1, what is the rule? One thing that sometimes makes it easier is if I make equivalent fractions, but I'm just going to follow the directions. Take two terms and subtract. Take two terms and subtract the bigger term on top. So I'm going to start here with 7 sixths and 1/4. 7 sixths is actually bigger. 7, oh, nope, not using orange. I enjoy having vision. So let's do blue. 7/16 minus 1/4. Common denominator is 16. 4 times 4 is 16. 1 times 4 is 4. 7/16 stays the same. Subtract. 7 minus 4 is 3/16. Are my numbers getting bigger or smaller? So because I had a whole number here and I'm left with a fraction here, it's getting smaller. That means the rule, they're getting decreasing. The rule is subtract 3/16. That's literally all you have to do. Take two terms that are next to each other and subtract them. What's the difference? I could have taken these two. It would have been fine. I just chose these ones since they didn't have whole numbers. Now, of course, We have to apply that 3 times. So 1 3/16 minus 3/16 is just 1. Okay. Now it becomes a little bit harder. I have 1 and I'm subtracting 3/16. That's that one kind of difficult problem. So I borrow from the 1 and I'm going to make it 16/16 so that I don't have to find a common denominator. So 16 minus 3 is 13/16. So this term here is 13/16. Subtract 3/16 and I get 10/16. But 10/16 can be reduced. So I'm going to divide both top and bottom by 2 because whatever I do to one, I must do to the other. 10 divided by 2 is 5. And 16 divided by 2 is 8. So I end up with 5/8. And then 5/8 minus 10/16 is 7/16. So that's how you do it, guys. That's really, for this first part where they're asking you what is the rule and apply it, that's all you have to do. Now, of course, you know, it's not that simple. And so sometimes they give you the rule and tell you to apply it. You don't have to figure out the rule. They give you the rule, but then you have to continue. And so what does that one look like? I'm going to just do number 5. And it says the rule is start at 5 3/4, subtract 5/8. And you need the 4 terms. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, here's the thing. When you are on Think Central, be really careful about this, you guys. And that is, the rule says start at 5 3/4. So on this first line here, I'm going to write 5 3/4. So really, I only have to do it 3 times. I still have to do it 3 times. But remember to put that first term here. That got me for several years. That's gotten me. So 5 3/4 minus 5/8. Step 1, make both common denominator of 8. So times 2. So 6 minus 5/8 is 1/8. 5 minus nothing is 5. So my next term is 5 1/8. Minus 5/8. Sorry, I know you're seeing the flashing lights. Ooh. I have to borrow from the 5, make it a 4. This becomes 8/8 equals 9/8 minus 5/8 is 4/8. This 4/8 is also a half. So here I'm going to type 4 1/2. All right. 4 4/8 minus 5/8. Borrow from the 4, make it a 3, add 8/8. 8 plus 4, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 eighths. 12 minus 8 is 7/8. So now I have 3 7/8. So that's how you do the problems that look like that. The biggest part is that you start with the correct term and that you simplify. Even when I simplify, though, I like to keep the 4 4/8 in the same spot because when I go to subtract 5/8 again, I need it to be an 8. All right, you guys, that is it for today. Have a wonderful day, and I will see you soon, or I will see you another day.